Been having a hard time making this video, y'all. It's hard to put into words why I feel the way I do about Undead Unluck, but I fucking love Undead Unluck. This story's not gonna give you, the crazy deep lore and plot like Berserk. It's not even gonna give you these high octane, batshit crazy fight scenes like Jujutsu Kaisen. Pero what Undead Unluck does give you is what I believe is one of the most beautiful and endearing love stories that Shonen Jump has offered me, as well as the highs and lows, twists and turns, and anything else you need in a good story, as Undead and Unluck chase the greatest death you've ever seen. Don't just think of this as the new age version of the love suicides at Imajima. Yoshifumi Totsuka sets up a very interesting world with his premise within Undead Unluck. Certain individuals in this world have the power of negation, meaning they can negate one rule within the world. For instance, Undead, the negator of death. Due to his ability, he cannot die and possesses regenerative powers, as well as, I don't want to reveal too much, but bro got a sword. And whenever I say he got a sword, I mean he be out here Ichigo Getsu got 10 showing bros, and that's all I'm gonna mention. But similar to Undead, the main character Fuko has a negator ability, Unluck. Her ability to cast Unluck onto anybody whom she makes contact with actually led her to where she is at the beginning of the manga. Ready to jump!
No! Do a flip!
Do something to herself which I'm not allowed to talk about on YouTube. It's only after she comes in contact with Andy, the undead, that she actually finds a will to live through him, as he lets her know she's the only way he could possibly be killed and taken off of this earth. And I don't want to reveal too much, so I'm going to skip a few chapters. But let me say one thing. There's a fight within these chapters that I'm skipping that's going to actually disprove what I said earlier, so F this shit not having firefights. The action in this shit's kind of dope. But you figure out about another force within this world called Umas. And these creatures possess the power of rules. Ideas such as language, sickness, or even the 4 seasons take the form of monstrous physical manifestations and wreak havoc across the entire earth. The creation of these Umas and Negators is actually all by the hand of God. And God in this world tasks Negators with defeating both Umas and Negators in some instances, or new rules will be added to the earth. And whenever these rules are actually broken, so a Negator defeats an Uma, there are repercussions because they are physical manifestations of real things. And you may ask, why does God do this? Why does he set this sort of game up for these guys to play? And if you want to know the answer to that, you're just going to have to read Undead Unluck. But let me not spoil the manga any more than I already have. There might be 1 or 2 more spoilers, but let me at least just tell you why I personally enjoy Undead Unluck so much. Although I could go on for days about the characters within the manga, how they're so likable, how their designs really flesh out who they are as an individual, how they ended up there that day, and why they act the way they are. Maybe just how they're fleshed out in such short amounts of time, Every single time Yoshifumi brings a new character into the manga, he fully fleshes them out in 1 to 2 chapters. And it's just an interesting thing to see because not every single manga you're going to come across has this sort of expedited delivery that just gets you everything you want to know in a very quick, succinct amount of time. But shit, it might even just be Andy and Fuko's love flourishing. The last minor spoiler I'm gonna give y'all is that there is a plot progression point wrapped around the love of Andy and Fuko. So Fuko's ability Unluck has a sort of gauge wrapped around it. The more she likes an individual and the more intimate a touch is, increases the amount of unluck that is dealt to that opponent. I say opponent, but it's just anybody who she comes in contact with. So Andy and Fuko's love becomes stronger, but also the ability for Fuko to deal more damage to Andy at the same time becomes stronger as well. So since Andy wants to die, they've got to fall farther and farther in love, and they've got to do crazier and crazier things with each other to ensure that Andy gets the greatest death he could possibly get. But it's not just watching that happen. It's just seeing it naturally occur and get to this point where they realize they don't want each other, but they need each other because they're in a relationship and shit. You've been there before, my nigga. That shit's just cute. But what I truly love about Undead Unluck, what keeps bringing me back week after week, chapter after chapter, month after month, is that it just keeps leaving you asking, what's next? You just get entwined in this roller coaster of emotion, action, and as I mentioned earlier, some dope-ass character designs. And by the time you realize you're done reading, you feel like Tanjiro and you've used your breath too much and you're bleeding from your eyes because you realize you've spent 4 hours staring at your gosh darn phone. That might just be me though. And seriously, I love reading manga, but there aren't too many manga, there aren't too many arcs that just have me glued to the book or the screen, like I can't leave, and I can't go drink water or go to the bathroom until I've just seen the resolution. Stories like Chainsaw Man come to mind for me. Like, I remember whenever I picked it up, it was about 45 chapters in, and I read them all in my first sitting. Could not stand up. And although it's not as high octane and intriguing as Chainsaw Man, there are multiple arcs, and if I dare say so, I think more arcs than not, you're just not able to put down your goddamn phone. And one of the main reasons for that, as I was mentioning a bit earlier, is the pacing. This manga freaking moves. Like, the pacing in Undead Unluck, although some people believe is for the worse, I'm definitely a proponent of it. Yoshifumi has this way that he just conveys everything that's necessary with this sort of expedited delivery, and it's just wonderful to me. As I said earlier, it's not the deepest story. It's just a love story with some dope-ass action in the meantime. Like, how many manga do you know where the end game is, I must defeat God. Call me. This isn't the most original tale or anything, but it's just an amazing time. And when you're gonna be in there, it's gonna be some happy times. You're gonna be flexing at some of the dubs. You might shed that gangster tear at some of the twists. But all around, you're just gonna be sitting down enjoying a good-ass story. And shit, I know it starts off a bit weird, could say a bit slow, but if you get over the literal essay in chapter 1 and realize that Fuko and Andy got the best relationship Shonen Jump has ever seen, I think you'll understand why I, like many others, have fallen in love with Undead Unluck. And shit, y'all really better peep this soon, cause if this gets an anime adaptation, you may never be able to see Andy running around, meat swinging in the wind, living his best life. But I don't even care. I'm about to go read more Berserk. I'm almost caught up. R.I.P. Kentaro Miura. Go read Undead Unluck. I'm out of here.